Hi Lincoln Charter School students, it's Mrs. Peterson here. Today we're going to be drawing water lilies and lily pads. So let's get started. The first thing is my paper is horizontal and I'm going to write my name on the back, and then I'm going to write my room number, and then I'm going to flip over my paper so that I don't see my name anymore. Once I'm finished with that, I'm ready to start drawing my water lilies. Now, you can make your water lilies however you'd like. I will give you a reference sheet that has different ideas on how to draw the water lilies. I'm going to draw with Sharpie, but if you need to, you could always draw in pencil first and then go back and trace. So I'm gonna draw all these flowers using the same method, which means I'm going to start with a circle or dot in the middle. And then these must have a radial design. So I'm going to start in the middle and work my way around. And remember, water lilies have several layers of petals. So I'm just going to go all the way around again and again and again and again. And this is almost like a cloud shape that I'm just repeating over and over and over again, and it's probably the most simple way to draw your flowers. Now, another way that I can make my flower is to make the petals more individual. So let me show you what that would look like. I'm going to start with another circle in the middle, and then this time I'm going to make round petals that touch like this. And when I do my next row, those petals will go in between. And I'm just going to keep going like that with these little individual petals all the way around in a circle. And obviously this way takes a little bit longer, but I like how this flower turns out a little bit more. I think I'm gonna do one more row of petals. And you can put your water lilies wherever you would like on your paper. Try to draw them nice and big, not too small. Okay, so maybe I'll do one or two more flowers. Here's another way that you could make a flower. I'm gonna start with a dot and do some lines like this, kind of like very skinny raindrops. And then around that, I'm going to make a bigger petal. And from there, I'm just gonna go in and add a couple more in the back row. Okay, so there's 3, and I said I wanted to do 4, so let me do one more. This time I think I'm gonna do pointy petals, and I'm just gonna make this one a tiny little guy. So these petals are going to be nice and pointy. And you can make all your flowers exactly the same, or you can make all of your petals different. It's 100% up to you today. Once I have all of my flowers drawn, I'm going to go back and add lily pads. Lily pads look a lot like a Pac-Man shape, so it's a circle with a triangle missing out of it. And these are going to go underneath of my flowers, so you won't be able to see the whole thing. So I'm gonna start with my circle shape. And then I need to have that triangular chunk missing. So I'm drawing this like everything is overlapping. So there's my lily pad shape. Maybe I wanna add a couple of wavy lines on my lily pad. I'm gonna put another lily pad over here. So remember, it's almost a complete circle. This one's gonna go off the page just a little bit with a triangle cut out of it. Then I can go back in and once again put some lines on my lily pad. And I think I'm gonna add a part of a lily pad up here. Just gonna move that down just for a second so I can see the draw up there. Okay, and then maybe a chunk of a lily pad over here, because I do want to leave a little bit of space for some water. So that looks pretty good to me. I have most of my paper filled up with either flowers or lily pads, but I still have some space for water. Now I'm ready to start painting. So when I paint, I'm going to need my watercolor paint, and I'm also going to have a bucket of water and a paintbrush. And the first thing I'm going to paint is my flowers. For your flowers, you may use any color except for blue or green. We're going to save blue and green for our lily pads and water. So maybe I want to start with pink. And how you paint these flowers today is totally up to you. There really are no rules except just avoid the blue and the green to start off with. Whenever you change colors, make sure you give your paintbrush a bath, and then you can go back in and get your next color and keep on painting. Every time you change colors, you need to make sure you give your paintbrush a bath. And it's okay if the colors mix together. We're inspired by the Impressionist Claude Monet, and his paintings are not 100% perfect. They're just giving you the impression of a pond with lily pads. And I'm really trying my best to stay inside the outside line of the flower. I don't care if the colors mix on the inside, but the outside, I don't want too much paint getting out of the lines. Okay, so I'm just going to continue painting all of my flowers, and then I will check back in with you when that's finished. Okay, now I've finished painting all of my flowers, and I'm ready to start painting my lily pads. If you remember, I just used all the colors except for the blues and the greens so that the flowers will pop out against the background. For my lily pads, I'm just going to paint the exact same way, except this time I'm going to use green, and you can mix in a little bit of blue if you would like. Make sure you're using lots of water because this is watercolor paint. And I'm just going back in once again, being careful to try to stay inside the lines of my lily pad. So I will continue painting until I finish all my lily pads, and then I will check in with you again. Okay, now I've painted all of my lily pads, all of my flowers are painted, and the last step is optional. If we have time, you may go back in and paint the water of your pond. And I want to show you, you don't have to paint it just like this, but I want to show you a way to paint the water so it looks like it's moving or has a little bit of waves in it. When I paint my water, I'm going to start with the light blue, but you can use the dark blue too. And I'm just going to go in and paint curvy lines going across. And while my paint is still wet, I'm going to give my paintbrush a bath. Remember, you always need to give your paintbrush a bath. Go back in, and I'm going to paint a little bit of the darker blue on top. And the colors will start to mix together. And when I paint, I'm just kind of using that curvy motion so it looks like my water has some movement. And I'm gonna do one part of my paper at a time and then move on to the next part of my paper so the paint doesn't dry too quickly. So I'll give you some more time to work on your background, and then I'll check in with you for the final time and we can see what we've made. Now I'm completely finished with my painting, and I'm so happy with how it turned out. I love how the bright water lilies pop out against the lily pads and the water background. I can't wait to see all of the masterpieces that you guys created. I'll see you soon.